All right, welcome. Today we're going to tackle a really fundamental topic for your exams, asexual reproduction. We're going to break it all down step by step so you'll have everything you need to know. So, to get started, let's ask a really big question. Why do living things even bother making more of themselves? It might seem obvious, but the reason is actually pretty deep. And that question leads us right into our first key concept, which is all about survival. But listen, we're not just talking about the survival of one single organism. We're talking about the survival of the entire species. And it's really, really important to get this difference straight. You see, growth and repair, that's what keeps an individual organism going. You know, like when a cut on your skin heals. But reproduction, that's the process that keeps the whole species from dying out. It's about passing life on. Okay, so now let's zoom in on one particular reproductive strategy, one that's incredibly efficient, super fast, and only needs one parent to get the job done. Okay, this is the big one. This is your textbook definition, and you've got to know it cold for your exam. Notice the three crucial parts. First, a single parent. Second, no gametes are involved. That means no sperm, no eggs. And third, the offspring are basically genetically identical clones of the parent. And believe it or not, you've probably seen this happening right in your own kitchen. Think about something as simple as making curd from milk. If you've ever done this, you've actually witnessed asexual reproduction on a massive scale. So what's going on here? Well, it's a fantastic example. The little bit of curd you add contains lactobacillus bacteria. In that nice, lukewarm milk, they have the perfect conditions to reproduce like crazy, asexually, turning that whole bowl of milk into curd way faster than they could in the cold milk. All right, so let's get into the nitty-gritty. What are the different ways this happens? You absolutely need to know these for your exams, so let's break down the different methods single parents use to create offspring. First up, we've got fission, and the name says it all, right? Fission literally just means to split, and that's exactly what these organisms do. They just split their body into new individuals. It's the go-to method for organisms like bacteria. Now, pay close attention here, because there are two types. You've got binary fission, bi meaning two, of course, where one cell just splits into two. But then you have multiple fission, where one cell splits into many cells all at once. This has huge implications, especially for something like Plasmodium, the organism that causes malaria. It explains how it can multiply so quickly in our bodies.
Okay, next on our list is budding. And this one is pretty easy to picture. It's almost like a little mini-me, a bud, starts growing right on the parent's body. And once it's big enough, it just pops off and starts its own life.
And the classic example you absolutely have to remember for your exam? Yeast. If you look at a diagram of a yeast cell, you'll see a smaller bud forming right on the parent cell, growing and growing until it's ready to separate. All right, moving right along to fragmentation. This is a wild one where breaking apart is actually the whole point of making new life. The parent organism literally breaks into a bunch of pieces, or fragments, and each one of those little pieces can grow into a brand new, complete individual. And your go-to example for this? It's gotta be Spirogyra. It's a type of green algae you might see in ponds. Its long, thread-like body can easily break into pieces, and each broken piece just keeps on growing into a whole new filament. Simple as that. Okay, let's switch gears a bit and look at two really fascinating processes that often get mixed up. They both manage to create new life, or at least fruit, without any fertilization, which is, the main event in sexual reproduction. First, we have parthenogenesis. The name itself is pretty cool. It literally means virgin birth, and that's exactly what it is. It's when an egg cell, which would normally need to be fertilized, just decides to develop into a whole new organism all on its own. And this is where it gets super interesting. In insects like bees, this process actually determines if the baby is a boy or a girl. The unfertilized eggs, they become the males, the drones. And the fertilized eggs, they become the females, like the worker bees and the queen. It's a pretty incredible system when you think about it. Okay, now for parthenocarpy. Sounds almost the same, right? But the result is totally different. This isn't about making a whole new organism, it's all about making fruit. Basically, a plant makes fruit even though its ovules were never fertilized. And this is a huge deal for us, commercially speaking. Ever wondered why your banana doesn't have seeds? Or how you get seedless grapes in watermelons? Yep, it's thanks to parthenocarpy. We get all the yummy fruit, minus the seeds. All right, this next part is super important because it's a classic point of confusion for students. We're talking regeneration versus fragmentation. They both involve growing from pieces, and they sound kind of similar, so it's easy to get them twisted, but there is a key difference you have to know. So let me ask you, is regeneration just another name for fragmentation? Before I give you the answer, just think about it for a second. It seems plausible, right? A piece of an organism grows into a new one. Seems pretty similar. And this is where we clear it all up. Think of it like this. Fragmentation is the plan. It's a natural, primary way for that organism to reproduce. But regeneration, that's more of a survival superpower. A flatworm can regrow its entire body from just a tiny piece, sure, but it's the same power that lets a lizard regrow a lost tail. So while regeneration can lead to making a new organism, its main job is often just about repair. Okay, so we've covered a ton of ground. Now, how do we take all this knowledge and turn it into top marks on your exam? Knowing the information is half the battle. Knowing how to use it is the other half. So let's build a master plan. So if you want to absolutely score full marks, here's what you need to do. First, you have to master those definitions we talked about. Second, for every single method, memorize at least one key example. Third, practice drawing clean, labeled diagrams. Fourth, really focus on the key differences, like we did with binary versus multiple fission. And finally, be ready for those application questions, just like our curd experiment. So I'll leave you with one final question to chew on. Thinking about everything we've learned about speed and numbers, which method, binary fission or multiple fission, is going to build a bigger colony in less time? The answer tells you a whole lot about how some of the simplest organisms on Earth can become so incredibly successful.